What's going on, y'all? It's Kilo. We back for another episode of the regular podcast on the regular network.
It's real.
What's good, y'all, man? We back for another week, back for another good week, another exceptional week, for another good podcast. It's a good day for a podcast. I'm very tired right now, but I'm gonna get through this thing. It's a whole lot of topics to get to, and I'm gonna try to make sure that I touch on the most poignant points that I need to. Hopefully I don't, get so excited talking about it that I skip over some things. While you're here, make sure you please like the video, share the video, comment your thoughts below, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell to get alerted when we drop episodes and videos on this channel. The growth is happening. Again, shout out to y'all for getting us to 1,000 subscribers on there. The next goal is 5,000. We chugging along. We're gonna get there. All we need is maybe one or two viral videos, maybe discussing some of this stuff going on in Fulton County right now. We'll see. But yeah, shout out to y'all, man. Thank y'all for all the help. Hey, remember I told y'all about this ceramic piggy bank thing that I have here? That's a replica of $1 million in all $100 bills. They saying that these are going for $600 on the resale market. So I might have to explore that. But no, I really love this thing, so I'm gonna keep it long term. But how was y'all week though, man? My week was cool, was smooth. I wasn't able to fix my truck issue last week, so I'm gonna try again tomorrow. Right now it's Friday. I'm gonna try again tomorrow. Like I said, I'm not a mechanic at all. I don't really know much about vehicles, about cars as far as fixing them and stuff like that. But I'm really just trying it because I'm like, I'd rather just try it before I either go get another car or take it to the mechanic and really be down for a minute. Had to have a rental for a week or two. So I'm like, I'm gonna try to replace the fuel pump on this thing before I go the mechanic route. So we're gonna see how that goes tomorrow. But so yeah, we still down right now. Still down. And this is what happens when you don't buy a new car. Like I had a new car before and now I went and got a used car and just for like work purposes. And man, I'm not a fan of used cars, man. First of all, like it's not that there's something wrong with used cars, but the problem is you don't know everything. You don't know the amount of wear and tear that's on this vehicle. So that's my whole thing. Like I'd rather just have a car, like I get it, drive it off the lot with a few miles on it, and then everything that's been done to the car, I know exactly what happened because I'm the one that did it. So yeah, but it is what it is, man. Hey, a shout out because we starting to reach out to people, and I'm hoping to start having some people on the show. I don't know if I'll have people in this room with me on the show, but I'll probably take my equipment, meet up with people, or start doing it on like have them in a webcam or Zoom or whatever like that. I was averse to it at first, but now I'm like, there's people who could have input on some of the topics I talk about that I get into and discuss. So it's like, let me not hold things back and keep people off just because I don't like the way Zoom podcasts look. Let me just start having people join in with that. So I'm trying to get this professor out of Morgan State. He's a PhD professor out of Morgan State in Africana Studies, or Africana, however you want to pronounce it. And we kind of got locked in, so we're gonna see. Hopefully he is still available. He said he was available today for next week, but we'll see. Hopefully he is still on schedule for that. So we'll get him on. He's gonna talk about some stuff that I think my people would like to hear for sure. And while I'm speaking about that, let's just put it out into the world because I have like a little list of people that I want to interview in the Atlanta area. And there's more people I want to interview, but these are the ones that are local here in Atlanta. So let me just put it out there. Let me say first, Leroy Campbell. So Leroy Campbell is the guy who, this book right here, this is his book of paintings. This is Leroy Campbell from Charleston, South Carolina, a painter. And I actually just met him this week. I was coming out of one of my favorite stores on the west side of Atlanta, West Side Market. And he sells paintings in there. And he happened to be coming in when I was going out. And I just stopped him, talked to him, let him know like, hey, I love your work. I keep your book on in the backdrop of my podcast. It's like artwork to me, the book itself. So I want to interview Leroy Campbell, one of my favorite painters, especially Black American painters. I want to interview Dennis Kimbrough. I don't know if y'all know who Dennis Kimbrough is. He was a professor, or he might still be a professor at Clark Atlanta. But he wrote a book called, well, he wasn't the original writer of it. Napoleon Hill wrote Think and Grow Rich, and then Dennis Kimbrough wrote Think and Grow Rich, like the black version, like Black Wealth, something like that. He also wrote The Wealth Choice. I read The Wealth Choice also. So Dennis Kimbrough is around here. He's local. I want to interview him. I want to interview Buddy Red. Y'all know who Buddy Red is? Buddy Red is T.I.'s son, Messiah. I just think that he's an interesting dude. I want to interview him. I've been reaching out to his people, trying to see if I can get contact, but I haven't been able to make contact yet. I want to interview Lonnie Johnson. Lonnie Johnson is the man who invented the Super Soaker, the black engineer. I've talked about him on this podcast many times before. Lonnie Johnson is a big one for me. I want to interview Kiana Watson. Kiana Watson, I think, is like genius level real estate, especially locally in the Atlanta area in the Southeast. Like, I think I could get into her story the way that she hasn't really done too much of on any of the shows that she's been on. I've seen her on plenty of stuff. And then Michael Russell, I'm just gonna say, and then this is the last person on my list right here. Michael Russell is the current CEO of H.J. Russell. It's a black-owned construction company based out of Atlanta. Very legacy company. They've been around for a long time. They've been keeping it going. Michael Russell is actually the son of the man who founded the company, Herman J. Russell. So I just like people like that. Like, they intrigue me. I want to interview them, have good conversations with them. And what I mostly want to get them to do is I want them to give input on the stuff I talk about, and not just me get their life story. I want to hear what they got to say about the stuff I'm into. You understand what I'm saying? So I know why some people are here. So let's just get right into the YSL update. And listen, let me just say this right now before we even get into this. What the Fulton County District Attorney Office is going through right now, I've never seen anything like it. If y'all have seen something like this before, y'all tell me. I've never seen anything like this before. They are getting hit by all angles from just because they wanted to go at two crime bosses, Donald Trump and Jeffrey Williams. They getting like flipped, smacked, beat from all angles right now. It's just it's crazy because we are definitely about to get into that Fonnie Willis, Nathan Wade debacle, because that thing is a soap opera from hell. Like, we're going to get into that too. But let's get into this YSL thing. And I'm going to go off my notes. I didn't write stuff on my whiteboard this time. Excuse me. I'm going to go off the notes a little bit. So, of course, Monday and Tuesday they was out. They was only supposed to be out Monday, but then somebody got sick. And it's weird to me because the judge came back Wednesday like, yeah, we ended up being out Tuesday because somebody had COVID. I'm like, since when do you only have to be at home for one day for COVID? Like, you have COVID yesterday, and then now we all back within close quarters of each other like the next day. I'm not cool with that. I don't think I would have showed up. I don't know. COVID is, I don't want to. Some people are like, oh, it's not that big of a deal, but that don't mean I want to be around somebody with it, though. That's just me. So then they come back Wednesday, and they pretty much, so it was a half day Wednesday, and then they didn't even start until like 2 o'clock. And then from 2 o'clock to the end of the day, they really pretty much just argued, like sidebar argument. They didn't even have the jury come in. There was no testimony. They just argued in there. And the argument was pretty much over from what I can remember, it was a jail call, pretty much. So there was an incident that happened. Some guys got jammed up, pulled over, whatever. Somebody started shooting at the police, and then somebody ran away, right? So then one of the guys gets on a phone call from jail, and I'm like, I'm just wondering, like, did this dude not hear this thing telling him everything that he says is recorded? So he's on the jail call saying, I should have went with Thug. Thug got away. Like, he's deliberately saying that Young Thug was with them and he got away on foot. Like, he got away. Like, I should have ran the way Thug went because he got away. He's like, yeah, I think he was saying DK. He like, yeah, DK, man, he tripping. He started shooting at the police. I'm just like, why is he saying all this on this phone call? This was being played when the jury wasn't in there. So this was like sidebar. So I don't remember it being played. Maybe a certain witness is gonna come in there and they're gonna introduce it then. But they didn't play it for Belknap. So I don't know what the nature of that call was about. But I do know that dude was on the phone on that jail call talking saying everything. Like anything he could say, he pretty much like he was ready to snitch pretty much. He was on the phone with somebody. He like, yeah, I you know what I'm saying, I'm trying to get my life right. I ain't even trying to be all up in nothing like this. We wasn't even supposed to be doing all that. The boys shooting at the police. Like he gonna have to eat that. I'm like, golly, these people, they they want to commit crimes and halfway be responsible for the crimes. It's just kind of crazy to me. But then, so that was Wednesday. Wednesday, nothing happened again. So pretty much the only day we really got of trial this week was Thursday. So Thursday comes, Belknap is still on the stand. You know, the prosecution did a little like redirect, but their redirect was very weak. Like them trying to say, I'm just saying in my opinion, their redirect was weak. So they're really trying to go back and reiterate the fact that, yes, YSL does not resemble other gangs. However, that does not mean they're not a gang. Like they still have plenty of markings that make them a gang by definition. So we should just stop. We should pretty much just stop considering the fact that they might not be a gang. There's plenty of tweets and references and all this type of stuff that show that they're a gang. And then they played this video that they argued about last week. And the video was pretty much Young Thug and a lot of his friends from his neighborhood. They were in the neighborhood. It wasn't a music video. Well, it wasn't quote unquote a music video, but they were in the neighborhood and just pretty much shouting their gang out. A whole lot of sex, money, murder talk up in that video. I don't know what. This was like 10 years ago. Maybe I think they said it was 2012. So they probably really didn't realize how dangerous what they were doing was, as far as dangerous to their own freedom. So it was a whole lot of people and a lot of young people at that time shouting out gang activity, gang stuff, and throwing it up, doing all that. Just really incriminating stuff when it comes to overt acts or whatever you want to call it. But so they played that. I think it was a 7-minute video at first, but they had to redact a lot of it. So they got it down to a few minutes. But I don't know if y'all know who Akbar V is. Akbar V is in the video, like and Belknap actually identified her as a known sex, money, murder gang member. I thought that was kind of wild. I'm like, damn, she really, like when the police get to identifying you as a gang member, that means that they have like some knowledge of you committing crime in relation to that gang. So that's wild. But you had her in there, Thug was in there, Trontavia Stevens is in the video. Like there's a lot of people in this video in this neighborhood, and pretty much they all in there throwing up everything that there is to throw up. So, and by throw up, I mean like they set the gang stuff. And this is actually now being played in front of the jury. And then so they're playing it in front of the jury. And the prosecution is having Belknap explain who he's seeing, what they're doing, and what does it mean, what's happening. And mind you, guys, this is still Belknap as an expert witness. So he's not speaking to anything as if he was there and seen it. He's just observing what the evidence is that's in front of him, what exhibit is in front of him. And as an expert, he's explaining what it is to the jury, right? So again, that is dangerous when you keep on having to hear this quote unquote expert tell you what he thinks something is. And that was pretty much Brian Steele's cross-examination. The basis of his cross-examination was to say, this is just your opinion, and you kind of really don't even know what you're talking about for real. You're just guessing because you consider yourself a gang expert, but where are you even getting this information from? Like we talking about the Super Slimy album cover, and you keep saying that it's some type of gang reference, but you like completely ruling out the idea that this snake and this bird could just be YSL's symbol and Future symbol together in a creative way. You're not even, this is pretty much Brian Steele's like point. You're not even considering the fact that this just could be artistic expression. You're not even considering the fact that Young Thug or any other YSL member didn't have anything to do with the creative direction of that album cover. You're not even considering the fact that you could be completely incorrect about any of this. And the dude is pretty much like, Belknap is pretty much like, yeah, I get it, but no, this is gang stuff. And I seen what the opposition was doing in return. And it was crazy, right? He caught him in a wild lie. So, and I seen it coming from a mile away. Brian Steele walked him down so crazy. So Brian Steele is talking to him and he was like, remember last week when you said that, when you said that this album cover was like gang related, and Belknap was like, I didn't say that. He was like, you didn't say that? He was like, no, I didn't say that. That's mischaracterization of my testimony. I didn't say that.
Yes. And when you looked at that without any question posed, you made it known to me, and I asked you to make it known to the jurors that was gang paraphernalia or gang message. Remember all that?
I don't believe that was consistent with my testimony.
You didn't tell this jury last week that there's another item on Mr. Williams' 70 that is gang related?
That is not consistent with what my testimony was.
The jurors will recall what you said, but do you deny telling the jurors that you believed that that was done for a gang message?
Again, my testimony was specifically that this was of note to us as investigators for the potential message that it was going to send to rivals and the potential to reignite a gang war that had been going on for quite some time at this point.
He was like, so you didn't say that this album cover was related to any gang activity? He was like, no, I didn't say that. He was like, Brian Still even went so far as to say, the jury will remember what you said. And we all remember what he said. He for sure, so Brian Still asked him, do you know about this album cover? Do you know that this is music? And he said, yeah. And remember last week I said, I don't understand why Brian Still is letting Belknap talk so much, because he's explaining this album cover and making it gang related when he should have cut him off. But now but Brian Still, that's why he gets paid the big bucks and I don't. Brian Still actually used all of that explanation that Belknap gave and used it against him to make him look like a liar. So he said last week, he said all that stuff about Super Slimy being gang related and this is the dead bird and the snake crawling through it and all that and how he knows. So then Brian Still says, everybody heard what you said last week. You said it was gang related. Belknap was like, no, I didn't say that. You asked me for context, and I gave you context about the gang relation and all that. But we can go back and remember, Brian Still didn't ask that man about no context. What actually happened is Brian Still asked him if he knew that was album artwork, and Brian Still was moving on to another question, and Belknap actually stopped him, interrupted him, and said, can I give you more context about this album cover?
And it says 12 tonight. You see that?
I do.
And this, or do you know, is a super. It's a mixtape called Super Slimy that Mr. Williams made with the rapper Future. Are you aware of that?
I am.
Okay. And then if we go to the right-hand side of Mr. Williams' number 70, did you ever go to, or do you know, that these Instagram postings are songs from this mixtape?
I didn't follow these links, but I have no reason to dispute that they are.
Okay. Let's go to State's Exhibit number 41W.
I'm sorry to interrupt, Mr. Steele. To the extent that you're asking for context of these, I do have additional context that may be helpful as far as these particular tweets.
Okay.
So the tweet on the left-hand side, so we pull that back up. So this particular image was of note to myself and other gang investigators, particularly during this time period. Their rival gang, ABG, has a hawk logo that they use on their own clothing and identifiers. As you can see on the cover of this, there's a hawk skull with a snake, the symbol for YSL, climbing through the eyes of this skull of a hawk.
Is that anything else?
I believe that's all.
Okay.
And for whatever reason, Brian Still let him. And then Belknap proceeded to say, this is gang related. This is related to this other gang that they're beefing with, whose symbol is a bird. And we see these references to a snake killing the bird, or we see the bird killing the snake in different references. Belknap went forward to say all that, so much so that when Belknap went and did all that, Brian Still said, are you done? And then he moved on. So shortly after that, this is how he walked him down, right? So that wasn't even the walk down. The walk down was this right here. So he said, so remember when we was going through those tweets, right? And when you went through the tweets with the prosecution, you knew that some of those tweets were song lyrics. He was like, yeah, I knew. He was like, but why didn't you tell the prosecutor, or why didn't you tell the jury that these were song lyrics and you knew they were song lyrics? And he was like, because I wasn't asked that. Like, no, they didn't ask me if it was song lyrics, so I wasn't gonna say that. And he's like, you can't tell them that these were song lyrics even though you knew? He was like, no, I'm not gonna say anything that I don't know. He was like, that's interesting because just last week you said a bunch of stuff about that Super Slimy album cover that I never asked you.
You testified last week that you knew that some of the tweets that you testified to on direct examination with the prosecution, you knew them to be lyrics from songs. Remember that?
No, I believe I testified that I believed some of them to be lyrics from songs, or that I didn't dispute your assertion that they were lyrics from songs.
Okay. And you said that the reason you did not mention that on direct examination is because you were not asked. Do you remember that?
I don't recall that, but no, I wouldn't have made statements that I wasn't asked.
Why wouldn't you correct and say this tweet may be or is from a song, even if not asked by the prosecution? Why wouldn't you tell the jurors that?
Well, I can't answer things that aren't asked by the prosecution under direct examination.
On Mr. Williams' number 70, I did not ask you about that image. You brought that up and said, there's anything else I want to say.
Well,
Remember that?
to your point, you brought this image up. I did not. The state did not. You brought this image up, and you asked for context around these images and around these tweets. What I wanted to share with the jury was that it was of note to us when we saw this, given context outside of just what was happening on Twitter or on an album cover at that time. I don't believe that I said Mr. Williams' name, and that was the extent of my testimony to this, given that context around this. When I was under direct examination, I wasn't asked to give context for any of the tweets that I read into the record. And to the extent that I would have been asked, it is not uncommon or unusual for someone to quote a lyric, a movie line, a poem, or anything else to express a sentiment. And using a song lyric for that doesn't change that that's how people use lyrics regardless.
So that was, to me, that stood out a lot to me because I'm like, the jury, I feel like the jury is going to cling on to this. And this is where, now this is where it makes it interesting to me that they didn't cross-examine Belknap the first time he went up on the stand, is because I would think that if you have a witness that's anti your agenda or against what you're trying to portray, you would want to make them look incredible, because Belknap is not a normal expert witness like a scientist or something like that. Belknap is an expert. He's an expert witness that has motive to want to see YSL lose in this situation. So he's not just here in an objective capacity to give expert testimony. That's not what he's here for. He's here to help the state convict. So, and I don't even know how they were able to let him be an expert witness, because he's so biased, it's crazy. But he's there with a clear agenda. So I think that you would want to make him look from the beginning the way they're making him look now. So now Brian Steele is doing a great job now of making him look biased and not credible, because he's up there lying. He's up there not only lying, he's up there making up stuff to like try to tie it to a gang. They asking him like, so you saying all this about this album cover, do you even know if Jeffrey Williams was even involved in making that? He's like, no, I don't know, but I don't even need to know. Like, I know that that's a bird and that's a snake, so that's gang stuff. Like, that's the type of way he was answering them questions. So I'm just like, yeah, I see the vision. I see Brian Steele's vision with that one now, because at first I was like, I didn't understand what he was doing, because it wasn't making sense to me. But like I said, this is why Brian Steele gets paid the big bucks and I don't, because I see the vision now. Okay, so let me see what else happened, man. Let me go through. Let me go through here. And also, there was more testimony from Belknap, and then eventually they got to the end of Belknap's situation, right? And honestly, because this was a big thing a couple weeks ago, honestly, y'all tell me what y'all think. I don't think that they got enough from Belknap to impeach Trontavia Stevens. Like, we can look at Trontavia Stevens' testimony and say, like, we can try to cherry pick and nitpick and say, well, he might have been lying here, he might have been lying here, lying here. I don't think there was anything clear enough that Belknap just gave them to say we got to impeach. We have to throw everything out that Trontavia Stevens just said on the stand. I didn't see enough. I don't think that bringing Belknap back was as effective as I thought it was going to be originally. And maybe because it's only one time and it doesn't hit the same as if he keeps coming back. But I thought it would be a lot more convincing. But mainly the reason I thought it'd be a lot more convincing is because we didn't see Belknap on cross-examination before. Remember, because they let him go before without cross. So I didn't know how they were going to attack him as an expert witness. But I think they actually did a great job. First of all, he does not look like an expert witness right now. He looks like a biased cop. And it's very evident. He looks like a biased cop. To any jury, he's going to look like a biased cop. And he looks like he's kind of making stuff up. So I think they did a great job with that. I don't even, honestly, the way that went, I would be surprised if the state even brought him back as an expert witness. I'd be surprised if they did, because that wasn't effective at all. I don't think, to me. Y'all tell me what y'all think. I don't think that was the slam dunk that I thought it was going to be. And that's why we do this every week, because you might think something one week and then the next week after you see it in play, it looks completely different. So Belknap, 0 for you, 1 for Brian Steele. He made you look crazy, and you was for sure up there sounding crazy, just like, oh yeah, no, that's gang stuff. Like, yeah, that is music, but it's gang too. Like, yeah, he was up there kind of looking crazy. And not to say he was looking crazy, he was up there looking like a cop that doesn't like black people. He doesn't. They up there asking, oh, do you know what gangster rap is? Do you know what rap is? Do you know any of these lyrics? Do you know any of this stuff? You don't so you really look like you don't have the cultural competency to even be interpreting some of this stuff. Just because you had a couple snitches in some interrogation rooms does not mean that you have accurate information. Snitches go into interrogation rooms and lie all the time. That's the thing about cops. And this is the thing about prosecution also, because they scare people with those high numbers and they make it so they never go to trial. So they take deals long before it gets to be proven that these snitches was lying. So these cops come around and they use their information as this authority. Meanwhile, the real gang members is looking at them like, that's dumb. Why would what we say mean what you think it says? It don't mean that. And listen, I call it a heavyweight match. I'm still gonna call this a heavyweight match. This is in no way won by either side yet. There's a lot more fighting that these people are going to do. Then Friday gets here, like Fulton County, they just have to get it together. Friday gets here, one of the defense attorneys, Miss D. Williams, comes in there, and she's been talking about this for like a week or two. She comes into court. She's the only one, and a few county people. And she's in there battling to withdraw her defense from her client because she feels overworked and underpaid, pretty much. This is the biggest case in the history of the state. She's not like literally a public defender, but she's like a pro bono lawyer that's provided by the state or provided by the county to one of the defendants who's considered indigent. And if you don't know what indigent means, it means you pretty much have zero money. You don't have any money over a certain amount of time. I mean, from what I used to know, you indigent when you have $0 in your account for like 8 days. So then you could start. So once you have $0 in your accounts for that long, you can start accessing certain free benefits from the state or the county. So I don't know what the rules are like in Georgia, but indigent pretty much means you're poor, you don't have anything, so you need help and assistance. So she's a pro bono lawyer provided by the county, and she's looking at it like, I'm making so much less money than I would be making as a defense attorney normally. So for me to have to spend my entire every single day doing this case only for the next however long, and y'all are only about to pay me this little bit of money, I can't go forward like this. So she was about to withdraw. So they come into the court on Friday and they bring in the representative that works. She's above all the public defenders in Fulton County. As she was a lawyer for a long time, and now she just oversees the whole public defender's office or whatever. And she was like, pretty much, this is our process. This is what we do. We only have a certain amount of resources, so we have to pay you what we can pay you. and it is what it is. Pretty much, she pretty much is like, it is what it is. And they pretty much negotiated, came to terms, and said, all right, we're going to pay this lady $5,000 a month per year, $5,000 a month per year, every year that she works this case, right? And that's pretty much all they can offer her. And she said, okay, they agreed to whatever, but she had another demand. Miss D. Williams had another demand that she wanted, or another request, I guess. And her request was that when she gets overwhelmed, she needs to be able to tap in with the public defender's office and get them to send her another lawyer to help. So what I just discovered from what they said in court today on Friday is that Miss D. Williams defending her client, she's the only one with a client that only has one lawyer. Every other client and every other defendant on the trial right now has multiple lawyers. So they have resources and they have eyes and ears everywhere. They can spread out and share work. This lady is working on her own on the biggest case in the history of the state with an indigent defendant. So she doesn't even have the same motivation as somebody that's making $2,000 an hour every hour that they work. You know what I'm saying? Like Brian Steele, if he was having to do all the work himself, it would be more worth it because of how much money he's getting paid. But this lady is not getting paid for a lawyer. She's essentially not getting paid anything. You know, $5,000 a month as a lawyer it's not what you signed up for. So it's tough. It's tough for her, but they ended up agreeing and she ended up saying, all right, I'm gonna stay on. You could just see it in her face though. She's just like drained and defeated and this is just too much. So shout out to her, man. I hope she, man, I don't even know. This case is nowhere near over. So this is just the beginning, young lady. But shout out to you. You getting a hard, like learning lesson in like being in the lawyer world. And actually, as you go forward in life and as you go and progress in your career as an attorney, you'll have something to give other young attorneys because it's unlikely that anybody will see a case like this again. So you'll have something to give young attorneys to say how you got through this type of situation when you just, you know, because all these other attorneys on this case, they have had long careers. They done made enough money that they could take a case like this where they don't get paid every day or whatever. And they okay. She looks young though. She looks very young to me. So shout out to her, man. Young lady, keep your head up if you see this. I'm sure you don't have any time to watch YouTube videos because they running you, working you to death every day. Emails, calls, meetings, and then trial, and then arguments, sidebars, recess where you still got to work. Oh, shout out, man. Shout out. And then today, to add to this circus, oh, my God. One of the defense attorneys got arrested, man. One of the defense attorneys got arrested on gang-related charges. Y'all mind if I read this? Because this is just, when we say YSL's trial is a circus, like, come on, man. The attorney representing one of the defendants in the YSL RICO gang trial in Fulton County is now facing gang-related charges. The attorney, Nicole Fegan, has represented Tenquarius Mender, whose case was severed from the main RICO in early 2023. So if you don't know what severed means, he got severance, which another defendant was asking for severance because he felt like his stuff didn't have anything to do with this. Severance means he doesn't have to fight the case with all the rest of the co-defendants. He can just fight his case by himself and only focus on fighting his own charges. So I don't know how he worked that deal out because I just heard Attorney Hilton say no because this is a conspiracy. So pretty much whatever they get, you get too. That's what a conspiracy is. So I don't know how that brother got that severance. But anyway, it says Channel 2 Action News learned that Fegan was released from jail on bond Friday evening. Attorney Renee Rockwell confirmed. So I guess Renee Rockwell came and helped and bailed her out and all that. Helped bond her out, get her out of there. So this is what happened. Friday after, Atlanta police confirmed to Channel 2 Action News that Fegan was arrested based on the information she contacted a suspect in a September 27th, 2022 shooting of two men at William Street and Baker Street in Northwest Atlanta. One of the victims died. APD said Fegan was arrested in Gwinnett County and was transported to Fulton. So charging her with participating in criminal street gang activity and criminal solicitation to commit the offense of tampering with evidence. So pretty much what happened was that Fegan called us one of the suspects in that shooting situation, but she wasn't that suspect's lawyer. She just called somebody. She called the dude and told him, hey, yo, they looking for you for this murder, so get low. Destroy your phone. Get rid of the phone. She pretty much was telling him, like, yo, get rid of some evidence because they about to come arrest you. And it's crazy. According to Pete, she told the suspect there were active warrants for his arrest and that she learned it during a preliminary hearing related to the shooting, telling the suspect to dispose of his phone as police were going to arrest him. They learned that Fegan has been booked. So we learned that Fegan has been booked in the Fulton County Jail. Her bond was $40,000. You know what's so funny? You know what's so funny? All of a sudden, Fulton County knows how to give bonds to gang people, to people in gangs and gang-related charges and all that. Because nobody in the YSL joint got a bond. Even the guys who were like barely accused of anything beyond weed charges. None of them got bonds. But this white lady gets arrested in connection to her tampering with evidence in a murder case, and she's out the same day. $40,000 bond. That's light. That's $4,000 to get out when you've been messing with the evidence of a murder case, and you should be held to a higher standard because you're a lawyer. You know the law. So you knew what you was doing was wrong because you know the law and you defend criminals. You knew what you was doing was wrong and you still did it, and then they just let you out the same day. They didn't even like try to make an example out of you to not do nothing crazy like that. So come on, man. Losing your bar license is like that's a big punishment. But that's not really enough, though. You committing crimes, like you committing criminal street gang crimes, but you getting punished. You getting a slap on the wrist, essentially. You get to go home same day. $40,000 is light for somebody like you, because when it's somebody like a rapper, when a rapper get in trouble, they set the rapper's bond according to the rapper's resources. So you got a lawyer, and you're going to give her the same type of bond you would give somebody a street-level drug dealer, a corner-level drug dealer. $40,000 and they got to pay $4,000 to get out. A lawyer, that's all a lawyer got to pay to get out, $4,000. What's that about? So all of a sudden, it's just crazy. All of a sudden now Fulton County knows how to let gang members or gang related people out on bond. Funny how that works. And yes, this lawyer is a white lady, Nicole Fegan, locked up on tampering with evidence in a murder case. It's funny, right? They didn't call her an accomplice to murder. They just gave her a tampering with evidence. If you help somebody get away in a murder, ain't you considered an accomplice? If I'm telling you what evidence to get rid of so that you don't get caught for a murder, and I'm using privileged information. I'm using information I found out from my job. Wouldn't that be, that's an accessory, right? Accessory after the fact. Maybe not accomplice in the way of you helped commit the murder. At minimum, accessory after the fact, though. That's minimum. So they undercharged this white lady and gave her a slap on the wrist with the bond and let her get out the same day. Meanwhile, they got Gunna in the YSL joint, made him sit for 6 months with no bond. When that boy ain't even from that neighborhood they talking about. He's not even from that neighborhood. He's not even from over there at all. Probably never even been over there outside of a couple video shoots. You know what I'm saying? He's probably not even safe over there. Before all his RICO stuff, he probably wasn't even safe going over there. Yet he was wrapped up in this whole thing, and they didn't let him get out. But this white lady who's tampering with a murder trial, she can get out same day. All right, let's move on. So that's all I got for the YSL trial, man. Y'all let me know what y'all think about that. I think it's crazy. I want to know if y'all think it's as crazy as I think it is. Okay? Now, let's get to the soap opera, man. As messy as this situation is, it's going to sound like I'm doing a review on Love and Hip Hop. That's how messy this thing is. You know what I'm saying? It's very, very, very crazy. So when I started, so now we're talking about the Trump election tampering case, pretty much. But in the course of them attempting to prosecute and investigate Trump for this election fraud or this claims that the election was a fraud in Georgia, Trump's side or the defense side, they decide, I think his name is Michael Roman, they decide to fight back. Excuse me. They decide to fight back, right? And in them fighting back, they decided to start doing some digging into the person who was appointed to be special prosecutor. His name is Nathan Wade, right? So they do some digging into him and they find out, wait, Nathan Wade has a personal relationship with Fonnie Willis. By personal, I mean they were boyfriend and girlfriend. And she's the one that appointed him to that position. Now, the reason it's important to understand that she appointed him to that position, he's not a district. He don't work in that office. He has his own law firm separate from what they do at Fulton County. She contracted to him for this job. So they brought him in as a special prosecutor to prosecute Donald Trump in this situation. The reason that so many red flags were raised when this was done is because they looked at his track record. This man is not qualified at all in any way. And I salute all the black lawyers and I shout out to all the black lawyers. This man is not qualified at all to prosecute on a case at this scale. We're talking about a former president with the resources to turn a country upside down, right? Not just that. They prosecuted, they indicted a whole bunch of his homies, pretty much, Trump's homies. They all rich. They all have the best lawyers in the world, on the planet. These are the best lawyers on the planet. You understand what I'm saying? So they went and got this man who pretty much handles like misdemeanors as a judge and small, little small defense situations. Like he doesn't handle major crimes like this. He for sure doesn't prosecute high profile cases like this. Never has. He has no track record for it. So why would Fonnie Willis choose this man to prosecute one of the biggest criminals in America right now, or one of the most infamous criminals in America right now, if you want to call him a criminal, Donald Trump, right? So that raised that red flag. They got on him, and I'm about to tell you the key to this whole thing. And I want y'all to go research this lady. The key to this entire debacle, what we've been witnessing on these streams, these courtroom streams, with Fonnie Willis and Nathan Wade and Mr. Bradley and all this, the key to all of this, Ashley Merchant. Attorney Ashley Merchant, the lawyer for Michael Roman. Hold on, let me make sure I've got the right name. Michael Roman. Let me make sure that's his name. Yep, Michael Roman. So listen, Ashley's name is spelled Ashleigh. Y'all go look this lady up. Just go look her up. She got her own law firm. She's a defense attorney in this whole thing, but she's not Donald Trump's lawyer. She's not one of his lawyers. She's Michael Roman's lawyer. Michael Roman is a Republican out of Philadelphia. Just a name that they threw in the case. I don't even know what he did or whatever. Either way. So listen, the reason I say Ashley Merchant is the key to all of this. Oh my God, this is so messy. I don't even normally do, but this is a criminal case now. So we're gonna talk about it, but it sounds like I'm about to talk about Love and Hip Hop. So Ashley Merchant was close friends with Nathan Wade and Nathan Wade's partner, Mr. Bradley. She was close friends with them. Not only was she close friends with him, she helped Nathan Wade's campaign in 2016. They were friends. They were close friends. It's not even just like they're friends. I want to play this clip for y'all. This is how this lady started out. She started out the direct examination of this man like this. She was this thirsty to let the world know how close she was with him. Hold on. Give me a second. Let me put this. Now, this is soon as this man swear in, get on the stand.
My name's Nathan Wade, Nathanwade.
Good morning, Mr. Wade.
Good morning.
Prior to filing this motion to disqualify, you and I were friends, correct?
Yes,
And in fact, I supported you when you ran for judge in 2016.
you did.
I wear your shirts. My kids wear your shirts.
Ms. Merchant,
Fines.
your personal opinions have no relevance.
Okay.
I mean that in the best way.
That's
all right?
completely fine. I
Let's
will
get to
move
the
on.
point.
Thank you. No.
Okay, so y'all heard that. Now that sounded just like a goofy little joke or whatever like that. I really don't even know what the purpose of her letting it be known. And maybe that was like a warning to him to say, don't play with me up here. You know I know you. I'm gonna let everybody else know I know you. Don't lie, because I'll expose everything. That's, to me, that must be what she was trying to say when she started out like that. Because other than that, I have no understanding of why she felt like he just swore in when she said that. She asked no other questions before that. So she's the key to all of this, right? Because Donald Trump's whole side, this whole defense in this trial, they would have never known that Fonnie Willis and that man was having a relationship. Fonnie Willis and Nathan Wade having a relationship, they would have never known. The only reason they know is because one of the defendants hired one of the friends of Nathan Wade to defend him. Michael Roman hired this lady, and this lady went up in there and told everything. She told him everything. Listen, we gonna attack the entire Fulton County District Attorney Office. Fonnie Willis is having an improper sexual relationship with Nathan Wade, and Nathan Wade uses his business credit cards to take her on trips. And she supposedly pays him back in cash. There's no records of any of it. And he's still married to, so listen, Nathan Wade is still married currently right now, today. As y'all listening to this, he's married. Him and Fonnie Willis been messing around since 2021. He's saying that he doesn't consider that an extramarital affair because, according to him, his wife cheated on him in 2015, and from that point forward, he considered the marriage dead, and they had moved on. Him and his wife had moved on, right? So the wife had been in Houston, back and forth Houston. She was living her life, and he has been doing his thing in Fulton County with whoever he was doing it with, right? Ashley Merchant knew about this because she was their friend. What I'm gathering from this is that Ashley Merchant was so eager to do this, to expose them, because it feels to me like she was friends with Nathan Wade's wife and him. Like, it wasn't just that she was Nathan Wade's friend. She was the friend to, probably her and her husband were friends with him and his wife. You see what I'm saying? So if I'm your wife's friend, and then you start this affair with the Fulton County District Attorney, and we, as friends of you, are looking at it like Fonnie Willis broke up your marriage. That's how us as friends, we looking at it. I'm speaking for Ashley Merchant. I'm just assuming. We're looking at it like you let this lady break your marriage up, like you cheating on your wife with this. This is an improper relationship. They're giving you unfair contracts that you don't deserve. They're paying you that you shouldn't deserve. You taking her on trips with money that you shouldn't be taking on trips with. And it's just a nasty situation. And it all comes from Ashley Merchant being hired by Michael Roman. To me, it's almost so messy. I really don't even know where to really get into it, like where to dive in from. You know what I'm saying? Is that much? This is a soap opera. Like the YSL thing is a circus. This is a soap opera. All right, so I'm gonna try to reel it back in. Fonnie Willis supposedly Fonnie Willis and Nathan Wade met at some type of legal conference back in 2019. They weren't friends or anything. They just met, right? The end of 2019, October 2019, according to them, right? They exchanged numbers because I guess Fonnie Willis looked up to him, and he was like a teacher at that seminar or at that conference they were at. So she said, "Oh, this will be a good person to stay in contact with. I can learn a lot from him." So as time goes on over the next couple months, they start contacting each other more, and like he became a mentor to Fonnie Willis. Nathan Wade became like a mentor to Fonnie Willis, right? So COVID hit, so he's living his life, she's living her life, and they start communicating more and more because Nathan Wade had run for judge in Cobb County, so he had experience with campaigning. And Fonnie Willis, she was running for district attorney of Fulton County. So she would tap in with him and say, hey, give pointers and all this type of stuff. What should I do? What should I not do? Like, what, that type of thing. So they got closer about talking about politics and how they should run campaigns and stuff like that. That was 2020. She wins the election in 2020 for Fulton County district attorney. Then in 2021, I guess after she's sworn in, that's when they say a relationship starts with Nathan Wade and Fonnie Willis. Now, this whole argument thing that was been going on a lot is the defense. This is weird, right? I'm gonna tell you why it's weird, because if you just watch it, if you don't know like what's fully going on, if you watch it, the people who look like prosecution in this situation are actually the defense. The defense is trying to impeach or get these people thrown out. They're trying to get Nathan Wade and Fonnie Willis dismissed from this whole proceeding, right? So they're the ones questioning and going at everybody, right? Man, it's crazy. So what some of the main points of contention is, at what date did Nathan Wade and Fonnie Willis begin their sexual relationship? The reason that that's such an important factor is because they're trying to say that their sexual relationship started before Nathan Wade was appointed to be special prosecutor in this Donald Trump case, right? And the reason they feel like that's important is because they feel like that is an improper bias. He only got the job because he was sleeping with you. He's not qualified. Why is he here? Pretty much. Why is he here? So they're trying to establish that. And in the midst of them establishing that, they're also saying that not only are you giving this man benefits that he shouldn't be getting because he's not really qualified for it, but y'all are also spending taxpayer money on lavish trips, gifts, and all type of foolishness for y'all to just run around romancing each other up while he's still married. So a lot of the stuff that's been going on has been, calling into question the character of these people. And by these people, I mean Nathan Wade and Fonnie Willis. It's just a bunch of character stuff. So Nathan Wade is the main one that they're trying to impeach. And in the midst of trying to impeach him, they get to slander Fonnie Willis as much as they want, as much as they can, right? But I know some people have been looking at it like this Fonnie Willis thing, and they like, oh my gosh, she just destroyed her career and all this. Like, she's not the one on the chopping block. Fonnie Willis will be fine. She's okay. Her reputation might take a hit. She might not be elected again, but Fonnie Willis will be fine in this whole thing. She's not the one in trouble here. Nathan Wade is the one in trouble. So the reason he's in trouble is because, again, this is a lot. Nathan Wade did an affidavit with with all this information in these questions, and he was answering questions and all that. And I guess the answers to a lot of his questions and what they kept calling interrogatories, he was lying in a lot of it, right? So because he was lying in a lot of it, and now he's in this hearing and he's saying things that contradict what he said in that, they get to call his credibility into question. And they're saying pretty much his credibility should be questioned and he should be impeached because he's lying under oath. So if you're going to come in here as an attorney and lie under oath willingly, then you can't be trusted to prosecute somebody else. It's not going to work. That's what they're saying. They're also saying that he was just doing a bunch of improper stuff when he was working. So, so then you also have this situation where there's a guy named Mr. Bradley who was one of his partners. So it was Wade Campbell Bradley or Wade Bradley Campbell, whatever you want to call the law firm that they had together. And again, I apologize that I'm all over the place because this damn case is all over the place. So they had a law firm together, and Bradley ended up being Wade's attorney in his divorce proceedings, right? So he was his attorney for a couple of years. I guess it didn't go anywhere, but they ended up falling out, right? So not only was Bradley Wade's attorney for his divorce, but Wade was Bradley's attorney for some construction lawsuit that was going on. So once they made that known that they were both each other's attorneys, I quickly realized what the hell was going on here. Like, first of all the people we talking about are all lawyers. So I quickly realized what was going on here. They're friends. They represented each other in these cases so that going forward, they would always be protected by this attorney-client privilege stuff that they call. And that has been like the biggest point of contention in the last 2 days of this hearing is what actually is protected by attorney-client privilege. Is attorney-client privilege only in play while, like, in between the time period of you hiring that attorney? Or is once you become a person's attorney, now everything that they have said to you is now privileged information? So they've been arguing about that a lot. And I honestly don't know the answer to it because yesterday was the first time I found out that attorney-client privilege wasn't an actual law. It's just case law that they go by. So it's not really codified. It's not policy anywhere. Judges just uphold it, but it's not really a rule. It's not a law. So I didn't know that, though, until yesterday. So that's why they're even arguing it, because there's really an argument to be had. And I wouldn't be surprised if some things change soon because of that, especially because we have a former president involved. So none of this stuff is going to stay local. All of it is going big. So Bradley defended Wade. Wade defended Bradley. So now they got this attorney-client privilege thing going on. They can't speak on they're refusing to speak on certain things with each other. But one thing that came out while they were cross-examining Bradley, they like, so Bradley, you and Mr. Wade, y'all had a split from your business. Why? What happened? He like, it was a little dispute. We just, we went our separate ways. Attorney Cross, who's the district attorney in this case right here, the prosecutor, she's like, didn't y'all have a falling out or a dispute about a sexual assault? He was like, no. He's like, so she was like, so you didn't get accused of sexual assault? So she's talking to Mr. Bradley. She's like, you didn't get accused of sexual assault by one of the employees? He got quiet. He was trying to figure out a way out of it, dance out of it. He was like, yes, I got accused, pretty much saying, not that I did it. I didn't do it, but I did get accused. Yes, that happened. He's like, so, and didn't Mr. Wade confront you about it? And that's what made y'all have a separation? And he's like, he didn't want to answer. He's like, yeah. So Mr. Bradley's lawyer is in the stands in the audience or whatever you want to call it. He stands up and objects, and it's like, whoa. So he's pretty much realizing that, okay, the only way y'all got that information is if Wade told y'all that. If Wade told y'all that, that means that attorney-client privilege is out the window now. He even said that. I think he said something like, if that's the case, then attorney-client privilege is done. Bradley's lawyer said that because that would be information that they would have known that only one person had that information. The only person that had that information was Mr. Wade, Nathan Wade. So if that means if the state has it now, that means he told them, which means attorney-client privilege is out the window. So I honestly think that this situation in this case is a lot more complex than that YSL situation. So it's almost like because these hearings are just all legal people. There's everybody pretty much in this courtroom is like a lawyer. It's high level argument going on right now. Like they're in there making lawyers look stupid. All the people that they putting on the stand to talk about and all this, these are all lawyers, pretty much for the most part. These are like all lawyers pretty much. So like there's some high level arguing going on. You really got to watch this case. You got to watch when y'all get a chance to. You really want to get tapped in with this one. If you are interested in any of this type of stuff, these debates, these arguments, learning about new different parts of law, all that type of stuff, you want to watch this one. Another little key point too, and I didn't even get into Fonnie Willis's testimony yet. Another little key point too is a lot of this falling out was centered around Fonnie Willis actually falling out with a friend of hers, like a long time old school friend. They was friends in college. They didn't go to the same college. One went to Morgan State, the other one went to Howard. They was friends back then. Then they lost contact. Then they met up again 10 years ago. And Fonnie Willis gave Robin Bryant a job at the Fulton County District Attorney's Office. They ended up falling out there. And actually, if you look at like GOP or right-wing news sources, they consider that lady Robin Bryant what they call a whistleblower, because I guess there was some improper handling of funds, and Robin Bryant went and exposed it. Somehow, I don't know who she told, but she went and exposed it. So her and Fonnie Willis fell out, and they fired her pretty much. And but Robin Bryant, which they were calling her Yersey or something like, I forget what she has a married name now, but Fonnie Willis said her original name is Bryant. So Robin Bryant she actually didn't tell what they fell out about. She just said, we had a dispute, and, you know, they told me either I'm gonna get fired or I can resign. And I just decided to resign. That's what she said. So, and then even when Fonnie Willis went on the stand, she said that they're not friends anymore, and she felt like she betrayed her. She felt like Robin Bryant betrayed her. So there's definitely some sticky stuff going on with this whole thing. Now, Fonnie Willis was going viral because of some of her testimony, and she did say a lot, and she was pissed when she came in the courtroom. Like, first of all, they didn't call her to court. She came in on her own and just walked in. And she said, she said, after you was done with Mr. Wade, they asked her, like, why did you just come here? We didn't call you. She's like, that I was just the most logical next person, because it just makes sense. Because you finished up with him. I already knew you was about to call me. It just made the most sense. Let's get going. I can't wait to talk to you. I can't wait to get into this. So essentially what's happening is the other woman is now looking at the wife's friend. The other woman would be Fonnie Willis in this situation. The wife's friend would be Ashley Merchant in this situation. So from the gate, and they all know, everybody knows who each other is in this situation. Fonnie Willis knows that white lady Ashley Merchant is Nathan Wade's wife's friend. She knows that. So she's hostile with this lady from the beginning. She like, yo, you lied on me. You put this stuff in the media. They don't have integrity in the media no more. Anything a lawyer said, they just print it. Like, she was tripping. So, but for the people that don't realize why she was going at Ashley Merchant like that, that's the reason. Is because she's friends with her man, with Nathan Wade's ex-wife. Or not ex-wife, they're still married now. All right, so she gets on the stand and she wants to clear up immediately how her and Nathan Wade met and how long the meeting has been going on, right? And then at what point it became romantic, and then at what point the romantic part ended. She wanted to be very clear about that. She also wanted to be very clear about the fact that anything that Nathan Wade did with her and for her, she paid him back for. She like, I don't need a man for anything. Men are not the plan. I don't want to need to live off a man. I got my own money. I could pay my own way, all that. So she was like, and I guess they both, her and Nathan Wade, said, like, we used to argue about this all the time, because Fonnie Willis, she won't let me do stuff for her. She always want to pay me back. And Fonnie Willis was like, yeah, when we go on vacations, I take cash with me. I'm going to give him the money right back right then. So, you know, that was a whole thing that she wanted to keep on emphasizing, the fact that it was cash. And all the people that was examining her kept on saying, like, so you don't have any record of ever giving him any of this. This is just all cash. Like, where you just have all this cash at? And that's what she get into the whole, like, my dad, you know, this is a black thing. My dad always taught me to keep money. Always take, if you go on a date, always keep at least $200 with you. You should always have at least $15,000 in your house. You should always have 6 months worth of expenses, like, in cash in your house. So she was just getting into all that bag right there. And that part lasted for a while. And they kept on questioning her about this money. They're like, so you never sent him any cash app. You never sent him a check. You never did this. You, like, pretty much you've never done anything with a paper trail sending that man his money back. And she was like, nah, nope. I'm a cash person. I always had cash on me. That's my thing. So, like I said, she's actually not in trouble. Her reputation is on the line, but she's not actually in trouble right now. So that's why she was barking like that on them. And she got at him like, y'all are trying to put me on trial, but I'm not on trial. Y'all are on trial for what she said, something about messing up democracy or whatever word she used. But she was like I don't have to. I can do what I want pretty much because I'm not on trial here. And when y'all try to get my bank records and all that, I'm blocking it. I'm not going to let you get my bank records again because I'm not the one that's on trial here. Yeah, Fonnie Willis was getting at them crazy. And then she started talking about her dad and stuff like that. And then she was like, y'all gonna meet my dad and you'll see like everything I'm telling y'all, I got it from him. You're gonna see. So then let's fast forward because Fonnie Willis said a lot. I want y'all to go watch it if you care that much about it. Her dad, so the next day, which would be Friday, her dad is the first one to testify. And I was like, dang, her dad, like I didn't know. Her dad is actually like a super lawyer. He's not just like a regular dude. He's like an internationally known, famous lawyer. Like they say he even used to date Angela Davis, like the activist, Angela Davis. Like he's internationally known as a lawyer. He used to work with Mandela. He was part of the Black Panthers, part of the civil rights movement. He got law degrees. He's just a big dog in his world, in his legal world. So I'm like, dang, he got a story like that. And I was so glad that he said during this testimony, because now it's on the radar for me, that he's working on a documentary about himself. So I can't wait. I hope after seeing his testimony and after his daughter is going viral like this, hopefully some studio will fund his documentary so that we can really see his story played out. Because, he was around at that time where in LA where it was real rugged. It was real crazy for them back then. And it was very, racial tensions were very high. And he survived all that and he became a top tier lawyer. And actually, what made him going to go to law school is because of what he's seen going on while he was in the Black Panther Party. So, and I told people this before, and I try to tell people this all the time. A lot of the Black Panthers weren't what people just think about Black Panthers, think about the guns and stuff like that. Most of those Black Panthers were college kids. They were scholars. That's what most of them were. They weren't like y'all are mixing them up with like the Crips, for real, because that's how the Crips started, to defend Black people against white people. White gangs and stuff like that. But the Black Panthers pretty much scholars. That's why the stuff that they came up with was so like genius. You know what I'm saying? Like protesting, like we're going to know the law. So we know we march out here with guns. We're going to know, are we doing like after school programs? We doing breakfast programs and all that. Like they were organized and extremely intelligent. He was one of them. And he went to college and he became a lawyer and all that. And then Fonnie Willis followed in his footsteps, also by becoming a lawyer. So I just think his story is great. He mostly came there to testify to have Nathan Wade ever been to Fonnie Willis's house in South Fulton. The reason he could testify to it is because he lived in that house. So he said no. He said he never even met that man before 2023. And he said he never knew that she was even in a relationship with that man. He said, I found out when everybody else found out. I seen it on the news. That was how I found out she was messing with that man. And of course, we can just guess. Fonnie Willis didn't tell her dad she was messing with that man because her dad probably would have told her not to, and that's improper, and you shouldn't do that. You're going to put your whole career on the line trying to mess with this dude that's a lawyer, and then you're going to hire him. Like, so I'm sure that's why her dad didn't know about it, because Fonnie probably purposely kept it away from him. But this whole thing is interesting, man. Y'all have to check it out, man. Y'all really have to check it out. It's too interesting. When Trump and them get Nathan Wade thrown off this case, I don't know where they're gonna go from there, honestly. I have no clue who they're gonna put in that position. The Fulton County's strongest prosecutor is working on the YSL case. This is the thing that's so crazy to me, right? Because Fonnie Willis, you put together a plan to go after gangs and to go after the biggest political office in the world, which is the president of the United States. You put together this plan to go after these people, and you put your strongest prosecutor on a local gang case, and you put Miss Cross. Shout out to her, but I don't. She's not. She's not. She's losing right now. Miss Cross is. They're about to get her prosecutor up out of there. You put your strongest prosecutor on a local gang case, and you have these goldfish going after Donald Trump. Donald Trump, this might not even make it to trial now, because you have weak prosecution on this case. It might never see the light of day now, because you wanted to put your shark on Young Thug and Chartavia Stevens and them. Why? Why are the sharks on the local people. Like, so you really wanted to bury YSL, and then you wanted to play around with Trump. Now Trump and his legal team about to ruin your life. Because now they got they done doxed y'all. You can't even spend time in your house. You could never do anything in public again without somebody harassing you now. And you wasn't even really prepared to prosecute the man for real. You just wanted to put your boyfriend in place so that he could, become a bigger lawyer or something? I don't even know what your plan was with that one, because you could have went and found somebody that was more qualified to do that. Like, just because you wouldn't have told the court that he wasn't your first choice. Why was he on your list of choices at all? That's the question. Why was Nathan Wade on the list of choices at all for a special prosecutor in this case? Why? To prosecute a former president, a man with that many issues in his background. Like, how easy was it for them to find that he was spending his business credit card on vacations for his mistress? It didn't take them no time to figure that out. They just unsealed his divorce paperwork like last week. And they already have the answer to everything to get him out of here. So she went and picked like the weakest candidate she possibly could have found to prosecute Donald Trump, and it's not even going to work out at all. Meanwhile, you got your biggest shark prosecuting Jeffrey Williams. It's a little backwards, my G. It's a little backwards. You know what I'm saying? But if we know what in criminal proceedings, the one that they always want the most is the black man. Especially the black man that thought he got away. The rich black man. So even though you got the billionaire, you probably didn't even think he was going to make it past preliminary hearing. You got a billionaire on the ropes, and you putting the weakest prosecutors that you got on him. Come on, man. And the strongest prosecutors you got. All right, so let's move past that, man. I do want y'all to look at this, because I want to hear y'all assessment on if how I'm viewing it is how y'all view it. You know what I'm saying? I want to see how y'all think about this thing. I do want to say you definitely want to look up Ashley Merchant, though, and not to look her up just to because she has an interesting story, but just look her up because she cracked this whole situation wide open with what she had going on. So I want to take a more light segue into something else, because I've been thinking about this a lot lately, and I'm just like, I'm somebody that just always gravitated towards the sitcoms where they had prominent dads and stuff like that, and TV shows, prominent black dads and stuff. Like some of my favorite shows would be, of course I like Martin, but there was no prominent dads in there. But like Fresh Prince, Family Matters, Everybody Hates Chris, My Wife and Kids, even Run's House, Run's House, that was one of my favorite joints right there. The Cosby Show being my favorite of all time. Like, and it was really me, like as a kid, going trying to figure out, how do you be a dad? Like, how you be a good dad? And I ain't have no kids young, but I just always was into that. Like, what the good dads out here doing? You know what I'm saying? Because I wanted to see that. Because like I said, my family, they got their stuff together now, but back then they didn't have their stuff together. You know what I'm saying? So I was looking so I always been into that. And I just felt like that was such good representation, because I do feel like my generation is doing a good job at fathering. My generation of men, black men, we do a good job at fathering, even though people don't want to really give us credit for it. I think we do a good job at fathering, even though the generation that came before us was off the chain. They wasn't, a lot of them didn't do what they were supposed to do. And a lot of us still figured it out. You got, you seeing more black dads picking kids up from school, picking kids up from daycare than ever in the history of ever. That's my generation that did that. And people don't like to, if we do something wrong, or if a lot of us do something wrong, they don't hesitate to point it out and throw it in our face and and throw it in people's face who's not even doing it, but throw in our face all the negative stuff. But you rarely hear them talk about how good of fathers we are as a generation. You have some bad ones everywhere, but as a generation, we have some great dads, and a lot of us had to learn that shit from TV. You see what I'm saying? We had to learn it from TV. You had to, you get your comedy side. You get your serious, like give your kid a speech side. from all these shows, you could just pick up a little bit from all. That's what I was doing anyway. I pick up a little bit from all these shows because these was all like good role models. You know what I'm saying? You got a different role models for different stuff, and them shows I'm talking about, them was like fathering role models right there for me. But one thing I realized that I didn't have, or I never desired, like I wasn't looking for a model for this, was that relationship piece. You know what I'm saying? I never seen anything and was like, oh, I want to like model being a good boyfriend after this. I want to model being a good husband after this. I didn't have no example of that. So even when I seen shows like The Cosby Show and Fresh Prince and Family Matters, all this type of stuff, yes, they was married, but you didn't really see the reality of their marriage. You couldn't really, it was mostly for entertainment. A lot of it was interacting with their kids, way more fatherhood stuff than it was relationship stuff. So it wasn't really a whole lot you could pick up. Plus, when you're in a real relationship, it's so different than what, like, fatherhood looks like fatherhood pretty much everywhere. As long as you have stability, you can mirror other situations and scenarios. But relationships, there's too many different factors, I feel like. So it's like you really need a good example in your face every day, really. And not having that, I feel like I'm like, damn, I didn't really know what to do in a relationship. Like that was like a cold-blooded thing right there for me. And I didn't even realize there was anything lacking as far as that go until I got until now. You know what I'm saying? Pretty much now like that. I don't even know what to do. You see what I'm saying? I feel like there's other people that probably feel the same way, and other people might look at it like, yo, you too old to use that as an excuse or whatever like that. And it ain't really an excuse because I really, until now, I didn't even care that I didn't have no examples. I don't feel like it was anything wrong. I'm just saying that I'm just realizing it, that I didn't have no examples. I'm not saying that I use that as an excuse to do anything. But there are people who will say, oh, that's you should have learned. But I don't even know where there's no right way to do a relationship. So where are you supposed to learn it from? You see what I'm saying? Or not no right way, but there's no one right way to do relationships right. So it's like, where you learn it from? You know what I'm saying? If you don't learn it growing up, not to say I didn't see relationships, I didn't see relationships that I would consider healthy. If I emulated what I seen growing up, you know, I would be in a worse situation than I'm in. So, but yeah, it's like if you come from a situation like that, then where do you learn relationships at? Really, you have to hope that you get with a partner who's patient enough to teach you what they learned from their parents. You know, you might be somebody like me who didn't grow up in a 2-parent household, like two of my parents' household. But I could get with somebody else who did have 2 parents, and then they could teach me what they learned. You know what I'm saying? So people that come from environments like us, like me, that really would be the only way for us to learn something like that. You see what I'm saying? For you to get with somebody and they teach you. Other than that, you're just gonna suck at relationships. You might not suck, but you know, you're gonna be winging it for a long time. I feel like that's something that a lot of people don't talk enough about because everybody just thinks that they do relationships the right way. And especially so many single people. They think everybody that they was with was just wrong and they were in the right. And you should have got with my program and we'll still be together type of thing. That's how a lot of people look at it. And it rarely do people look at it and say, I'm just not good at this because I never learned how to be good at it. You could teach yourself how to be a good carpenter. You could teach yourself how to be a good basketball player. But the thing about you can't teach yourself how to be a good person in a relationship because it is too dependent on what the other person thinks of your behavior. See what I'm saying? It's not an I in that team. There's an ME though. But yeah, I did just want to say that, man, because I feel like somebody out there, you know, what the pastors be saying, somebody out there heard that message. Did y'all know that there was a bank in North Carolina that just got jammed up for redlining in 2024? Well, let me see what year was it actually. It was in the report of the settlement is from 2000. Is from February 2024. But let me see when it was actually going on. Okay, 2017 to 2021. Can you imagine that? A bank redlining in modern times. Of course you can imagine it, because if you look around, this racism stuff is everywhere still. It didn't go anywhere. They just came up with new names for it. Let me read this. This is from the justice.gov website. Let me just read the headline, because this is even disrespectful itself that it's such a low amount of money in this settlement. Justice Department and State of North Carolina Justice Department and State of North Carolina secured $13.5 million agreement with First National Bank of Pennsylvania to resolve redlining claims in North Carolina. Now, yes, I know I said First National Bank of Pennsylvania, but they are operating branches in the state of North Carolina. So that's just to clear up some confusion right there. So the bank, FNB, has agreed to pay $13.5 million to resolve allegations that it engaged in a pattern or practice of lending discrimination by redlining predominantly black and Hispanic neighborhoods in Charlotte and Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Redlining is an illegal practice in which lenders avoid providing credit services to individuals living in communities of color because of the race, color, or national origins of residents in those communities. Now, let me see here. Let me read a little bit further down, because this part is interesting. With this settlement, the Justice Department's combating redlining initiative has now secured over $122 million in relief for communities across the country. But we recognized how much work we have left to do, and we are not letting up on our efforts to combat discrimination in lending wherever it occurs. So pretty much what they're saying is they've been finding instances of discrimination along racial lines, and they've been putting all the money into this one big pot. And overall, they got $122 million so far. They to me, I really do get a little bit blown from some of this stuff right here. Let me read this quote for it. This agreement will have a transformative impact for Black and Hispanic communities, providing them with new opportunities to become homeowners, bank in their neighborhoods, and create generational wealth, said Assistant Attorney General Kristen Clark of Justice Department's Civil Rights Division. As we take time across the nation to commemorate Black History Month, we must also create space to acknowledge the ongoing harms caused by structural racism and long-term discrimination. Modern day redlining is a stain in our I'd love don't because y'all been here before, so you know what I'm about to say. Don't we all love when something is happening to Black people mostly, and then they just throw Black and brown in there? Don't y'all just love that? How many Hispanic communities in North Carolina do you think is dealing with these racial stuff that been going on since the 1800s? Huh? Hold on. Let me look up. Let me look up something real quick. Just give me a second. Okay. They got a lot. They got a lot of Hispanic people there, actually. Yeah, they got a lot. Okay, let me see. Give me a second, y'all. Give me a second. They got... All right. So, yeah, there's 22% Black population, 10% Hispanic, which is ethnicity, not race. But that's a lot. That's a lot. That's a significant amount. But either way, though, how much of that redlining you think is happening Black and brown communities versus the Black ones? Because I feel like if it was really happening to the Hispanic communities, one of their civil rights groups would have been on top of it, because they have some powerful groups in this country that really put work in for them. But when you see something like this, and it's actually Black people that are pushing the charge for all that, it's normally because it's happening mostly to Black people, right? And we just have a hard time just saying Black people and sticking to Black people. Meanwhile, when other people fix problems for their community, they never include Black and brown. It's never Black. They never add the Black to it. They just stick to their people and they help their people. We have a hard time with that. But anyway, one another major thing I'm annoyed when it comes to that FNB situation, that First National Bank of Pennsylvania situation, is the fact that they only hit them up for $13.5 million for redlining. I think they should have been put out of business. I don't think they should just get a little fine. How are you committing a major civil rights violation along racial lines in 2024 and you only get slapped with $13 million? They should not be able to operate as a company anymore. How many times is the federal government going to allow banks to be proven to be using racist behaviors and tactics on the population and the consumers of this country? And they just going to keep on letting them stay in business. They're never going to feel like the punishment is hard enough if you keep on just giving them a little, oh, here, take this little fine and get back to doing your business. You have to start putting these people out of business. If you force them to close their doors, that will tell other companies to say, hey, we don't want to do this anymore. Let's make sure that we do not discriminate against black people because they will shut us down. Like, that's what civil rights attorneys, that's what y'all should be fighting for. Like, the money is cool, but we never going to see that money. Like, where's that money going? Let me tell y'all where it's going. So this is what they said the money is going to. The Justice Department in the state of North Carolina has resolved their, okay, that's the headline. The consent orders require FNB to invest $13.5 million to increase credit opportunities for communities of color in Charlotte and Winston-Salem. What? So they've been redlining, and their punishment is to say they got to increase credit opportunities for. What? What's that mean? That's not even a concrete punishment. What do you mean increase credit opportunities? So that means they could use that money to hire more people at their own bank. They're not even giving the money up. Here, let me read this part. There's some bullet points. Invest at least $11.75 million in a loan subsidy fund to increase access to home mortgage, home improvement, and home finance loans to residents of majority black and Hispanic neighborhoods in Charlotte. Spend $1 million on community partnerships to provide services related to credit, consumer financial education, home ownership, foreclosure prevention, all that. But see, this is the game they play, right? $1 million of our little 13, I'm saying our, but it's the North Carolina community and Winston-Salem and Charlotte. $1 million of our money for this settlement of racism has to go to y'all racist people funding education for us? No. Come on, man, with this stupidity. $750,000 for advertising, outreach, consumer financial education. Like, how is this a punishment? They got to open 3 new branches in predominantly black and Hispanic neighborhoods. I feel like with at least one mortgage banker assigned to each. They got to hire a director of community lending who will oversee the continued development of it. Like, this is the dumbest. And excuse me for just critiquing somebody else's work to seek justice. I don't mean to feel like I'm being harsh, but listen, we don't want racist banks to start hiding their racism and doing programs in the community. We want racist banks to be shut down. Get rid of them. What are we doing? If y'all ain't going to find them no real money, you're going to find them $13 million and $1 million of that got to go to them educating us and educating the community, and then 11.75 going to a subsidy fund to increase access to, like, think about this. Why is it going into a subsidy fund? That's just money that they should just be loaning to people. 11.5 million in this economy right now. What's that? Let me see. The average home price is what? 250 right now, 250,000. So that's what? That's 44 houses. What are we talking about? These people have been promoting redlining, declining to give black and Hispanic people loans in the Charlotte area. Charlotte is a major metropolitan area. And their punishment is to provide access to loans for another 44 houses. What? And that's assuming that all the houses is 250,000. If we were being realistic, you going 250 is probably low right now. So you know what I'm saying? 300,000-400,000. Who in the world is going to benefit from that? You about to get 10 houses out of that. Not 10. You probably going to get 30. You probably get 30 new loans out of that when you've been redlining in two cities. In North Carolina, there's two metropolitan areas, the Charlotte area and the Winston-Salem area. That's not enough money to even fix a redlining issue. That's not even enough money to undo what they did for 4 years. How many people have they only denied loans for 40 people? Like, come on, man. Like, come on. What are we talking about? Listen, I have more stuff on my list, but I'm gonna leave it there. Now, let me see. Do I have anything else? Do I have anything else that's quick? I've been wanting to talk about this one topic for a few weeks, but I'm gonna save it because I want that to be like a more prominent topic. Oh, okay. Let me read this because I'm really anxious for this one because I'm like, stop playing, man. My man Zeke and Dennis, they've been cleaning up on the sports betting, and I'm ready for it to come to Georgia. So, and we are very, very close. This article is from February 1st. The headline says, Georgia sports betting. Latest updates, details, road to launch. Okay. As 2024 arrives, buzz about potential online sports wagering in the Peach State continues to generate buzz while so much remains up in the air. Okay. Whoever wrote this article, and I just remembered it, whoever wrote this article is not a good writer. They need to hire somebody else for this. Okay. As soon as legal Georgia sports betting is live, eligible users can expect. Okay, let me see where we at with it here. So pretty much what they are saying is that this thing made it past. Okay, here we go. Georgia sports books will be legalized at some point, though an exact timeline remains unclear. Once the process begins, it shouldn't be long after that before users have access to Georgia sports betting apps. Throughout 2023, lawmakers attempted to legalize sports betting in Georgia for the fourth consecutive year, but were ultimately unsuccessful in their efforts. Hope springs eternal, however, in the 2024 could absolutely mark the start date for Georgia sports betting as the push for legalized online and retail betting in the Peach State will see new energy and influence in the new year. Excuse me, y'all. I'm tired and trying to ramble and read. Add in the fact that many of Georgia's surrounding states have already launched both retail and online sports betting, and it's easy to see why there's motivation to get legal sports books live and available in Georgia. Okay. I was trying to really read the part where it talked about the legislation part. Okay, here we go. My bad, y'all. I'm trying to scan through it. So, pretty much in 2023, there was a few different like Senate bills that were going through, but they were failing for various reasons. They needed to be edited. They weren't edited fast enough, or they need to be edited, and the changes weren't made as directed, so they didn't make it through. But then you have Senator Clint Dixon, who's a Republican, Georgia sports betting bill, SB 386, was approved 35-15 by members of the Senate. And that was on February 1st, which is amazing, right? That just happened. But amended to require the need for constitutional amendment before going into effect. If approved by the House of Representatives, Georgia voters will have the final say on sports betting at the 2024 November general election. So look, we need this thing to get through. We need this thing to get through the House of Representatives. I really don't see a reason why they wouldn't pass it, because Georgia is missing out on a lot of good gambling money when they don't have this. And I'm missing out on a lot of good gambling money because they don't have it, because I don't watch sports as much as I used to, but my homies, they super tapped in. They're going to send me the bet sheet. I'm going to just take the link that they send me, put my little $5 on. I'm going to win my $45, and I'm going to keep on flipping like that. So hey, when y'all see Senate Bill 386 come up, make sure you vote yes. We need sports betting in Georgia, man. There's a lot of money to be made out there, right? I don't have a gambling problem or nothing like that. You know, if I had to get a couple extra dollars, like $5, something like that, I'll throw it in there and see what I could do with it. Because I haven't watched sports enough lately to even be confident enough to bet hardcore. So yeah, man, shout out to everybody that watched. Make sure you like the video, make sure you subscribe, make sure you click the notification bell, make sure you share, make sure you comment. And I appreciate y'all for coming back, man. Shout out to my boy Marcus for the jacket. Shout out my boy OG for the Scully. That's all I got for y'all, man. Peace.